Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Town Council meeting on Tuesday, May 4th. It is 6:05. We'll call this meeting to order. Legal counsel, is there anything to report out of closed session today?
Thank you. The Town Council met in closed session with respect to both of the items on the closed session agenda, and there is no reportable action on either of those items, and that concludes the report.
Thank you so very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Dennison.
Here.
Droz.
Here.
Lombardo.
Here.
Schooler.
Here.
And Mayor Abel.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And do we have anyone here for the invocation tonight? All right. So please join us. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm not going to give us an invitation.
All right, thank you and welcome everyone. It's nice to have some energy in the room tonight, so appreciate you being here. We're going to have a few presentations and recognitions, so we will start off with our fire marshal giving our report. San Bernardino County Fire Protection District.
Are you on?
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have a presentation from our Office of the Fire Marshal. And so starting will be Fire Marshal Mike Horton.
Welcome, Mike.
Good evening, City Council, Mr. Mayor, members of the public. We're here to report some exciting news that we're developing here in San Bernardino County. It's in the name of community risk reduction. We are starting programs and doing data collection through a specialized process that we've developed here locally that is really going to impact the communities when it comes to reducing risk in those communities. We use GIS-based type collector applications. Esri 123 is an example of what we're using now. The community risk reduction is to identify, like I said, those types of calls that we're running on that we can reduce by knowing whatever is preventable or predictable is preventable. And we will utilize resources deployed to those in a more effective manner based off of data that we've collected. Next slide. One back. Like I said, we're using GIS information. It's geospatial related. It plots certain information on maps that we use later on for fireworks patrols, for data, for damage assessment, for abandoned buildings, for our arson work that we do. And the team that's here tonight will explain some of those apps in detail and how they work. It's all based off of the Esri mapping platforms. We're working to include spatial analytics here in the near future to be able to use that data and best deploy resources for those identified risks. And this is an enterprise program that we're sharing here with you tonight, but we're also sharing with all of our law enforcement and fire agencies around the county. So we have a similar platform that we're using. It's getting a lot of traction and a lot of attention as far back east as nationally from the ATF. We've got LA City, LA County, Compton, City of Anaheim, City of Riverside, several other outside agencies outside the county that are very interested, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. And we're sharing that information so we can use it as a general platform. So the team I put together tonight is, I'll introduce the next speaker, which will be Tom Strong. Tom is an assistant fire marshal assigned to the valley, temporarily working in the high desert. He's covering a vacancy up here now. And he is hands-on with all of the technology development, directly with ISD. And Tom will talk to you about the types of apps we have and how they operate. Thank you.
And the clicker's not working. I didn't break it, I promise. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City staff. I'll be giving you a brief overview of 3 of our current applications we have developed with the assistance of Natalie Campos, which is a Business System Analyst 3 with our ISD department. Our damage assessment app that won the 2020 National Association of Counties Award, the vacant building app, and the online firework reporter app that has been nominated for the 2021 National Association of Counties Awards. Next slide, please. The damage assessment app is an all-risk damage assessment collector. Prior to the use of the application, the methodology included a mixture of paper and electronic damage assessment surveys. The manual process of data entry resulted in inaccurate data and redundant work efforts. The need for a more effective and accurate rapid damage assessment application was apparent. The new application was developed in August of 2019 and has been used successfully on multiple incidents. With the new application, we conduct damage assessment surveys digitally using mobile devices such as iPads. We've standardized the collection process. One survey containing all the correct and appropriate questions for all incidents, including wildland fires, earthquakes, weather-related, and most recently, civil unrest in the county. Property owner information is transferred from the assessor to the application automatically. Provides real-time dashboards for the incident commanders as well as local chiefs and local officials. It's a real-time map that is updated as our officers are out in the field. We can use the iPads to take photos, and those photos are automatically attached to the reports that we send out to all the jurisdictions, and it generates the report for us automatically. Next slide, please. Our vacant building reporter was recently completed and released for use. Vacant buildings pose a greater risk of loss due to fire, water damage, theft, and vandalism. The application allows fire prevention staff to conduct surveys digitally using mobile devices, again, such as the iPads. The survey of these vacant buildings gives fire and our cooperating agencies and local governments the ability to know the location of these properties, including photos, property owner information, the real-time dashboard, and updated maps, as you can see on the slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. The one that's the hot ticket right now is the San Bernardino County Fire online illegal reporting system. It can be accessed by going to sbcfire.org or by clicking on the QR code, and it'll take you directly to the survey. Next slide. Version 1 was released to the public on June 17th of 2020. Version 2 with upgrades from the original version was released officially to the public on April 1st, 2021. The reporter can be accessed, as I spoke earlier, using the QR code or the sbcfire.org. The simple online survey allows the citizens the opportunity to report the use of illegal fireworks or sales 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anytime, with the option of staying anonymous. Next slide, please. The public viewer dashboard is a dashboard that the public can view, and it's a heat-sensitive map, meaning that the areas with the highest reports are going to show, but you're not able to go in and actually see if it was that you were saying that it was your neighbor that was using the fireworks. You can't get that granular with that to see the actual address. Next slide, please. The real-time field officer dashboard gives patrol staff the exact location and details of the complaints received. This was from last year. As you can see, at that point when we took the snapshot, we had 152 reports just for that week. 774 were outside of the county's jurisdiction. I received reports as far away as Mexico, some up in Canada, believe it or not, and other jurisdictions throughout the U.S. At that time, I had assigned 1,307 complaints and closed 4. Next slide. The reporter app also receives the illegal reports for sales. Those are immediately referred to our Arson Investigation Unit. The investigators work with the appropriate law enforcement agencies for disposition of those complaints. Last year, one of those reports received was in the city of Fontana. The investigation unit worked with Fontana PD. 2 people were site released and a large quantity of fireworks were seized from a garage. Thank you, Chief.
Next slide, please. As far as statistics go, and that's the entire reason we're raising this data, is to understand how those statistics affect not only our budget, our resources, our ability to respond, and how it affects the community at large. In this particular set of statistics, we've received 2,048 complaints. 1,268 were in San Bernardino County Fire jurisdiction, 780 were outside of our jurisdiction. And we try to work those complaints with those cooperator agencies by sending them to either their fire marshals and/or their law enforcement agency. Next slide. This is a bar chart showing the strain on resources due to fireworks and administrative citations that we've written. And without going into detail on these particular slides, they speak for themselves, but over the past 4 years that we've conducted interdiction and fireworks patrols, we've seized over 170,000 pounds of dangerous and illegal fireworks. We've written over 700 citations, equating to about $875,000 in revenue, and we've been close to 90% effective in collecting those revenues. Next slide. Next, I'd like to introduce Brian Headley. One thing Tom did not mention in his, when you were looking at those dashboard views, we can zoom down into the street level and look at what activity is going on in front of a particular house, in front of a particular block, and concentrate our resources to go into that area during fireworks patrols. It makes us much more effective, and Brian will touch on that a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, Assistant Fire Marshal Brian Headley, in charge of our investigation unit.
Thank you. Mayor, City Council, good evening. I'm Brian Headley. I'm Assistant Fire Marshal in charge of the Arson Unit, currently assigned to the Fontana Division. Go to the next slide, please. What I'm going to give you tonight is just a snapshot of the kinds of things that the Arson Unit does. As you can see up here, we're comprised of 6 post-trained former suppression personnel that cover the 19,000 square miles of your jurisdiction, including the great city of Yucca Valley. All our investigators are perform their investigations per NFPA 921. They're trained in fire behavior. They perform a systematic, safe investigation every time. They're complete case agents from start to finish. They handle the entire fire. The last thing you can see on our slide up there is our newest addition to our team is a Canine Investigator. So he arrived yesterday from New Hampshire with our handler, and he went to work today. So his name is Dinty, and he's a black lab that's 4 years old. Hopefully we'll get him out here for a demonstration in the near future. Next slide, please. Chief Horton alluded to fireworks. What we do is we set up an interdiction on the I-40 and I-15 corridors each year in the month of May and June. Last year, we set up for 7 days on the I-15 corridor out of Las Vegas. We issued 221 citations, $277,000 in fines were collected, 45,000 pounds of illegal fireworks were seized from coming into the county and other counties in the south end of the state. Next slide, please. A couple things that's in development. No contact administrative citations, marijuana sales and grow operation map, and an arson map. Next slide. And let me back up one just for the marijuana map that talked about up there. We developed that map in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department to target grow operations out in the South Desert area. Our suppression crews were responding to illegal burns at night, and they were being confronted by armed subjects when they tried to get on the property. So we plotted those for them so that they don't respond to those locations without some type of law enforcement presence with them. So that's what that one's for. Next slide. No contact administrative citations. This is in development. This is a citation system where we can go down a street in a neighborhood, pull up in front of a house using Tom's maps that he described to you, see fireworks going on in a front yard, a backyard. We'll be able to, on the map, pinpoint where we're at. It'll pre-fill all of that property owner information and send that property owner a citation. The property owner is the ultimate responsibility for this. So again, this is still in development. It's in County Council right now. We're just waiting for the approval to use it. Hopefully will be there this year. If not, I'm sure it'll be probably on online next year. The reason we developed this is because when our officers go out, they don't always have an investigator with them, they're a fire prevention officer. So when they encounter a subject that's 4th of July, they've been barbecuing all day, let's say, and it's not really a consensual contact, if you will. So they run into a little bit of resistance. So with this contactless program, we're hoping to eliminate that, and you know, our officers will be much safer when they're out there conducting those operations. Next slide, please. Arson mapping. Again, this is another one of Tom and Natalie's maps. And what we do is all those dots you see on there, and this is a screenshot of one, are all the fires that my investigators have responded to in a certain period of time. They also show juvenile fire setters is a different color, and registered arsonists is a different color. So we can see fires that occur in patterns around those locations, whether it be juvenile fire setters, registered arsonists, or just a pattern of fires around no one, and go out and research that, talk to more people. Anybody that we speak with out there, witnesses, subjects, anyone, can be put right into this as a field interview. And then the next investigator that goes out there in the next week, if that guy isn't on, can pull all that information up and pick up right where the first investigator left off. So this is going to be a great tool. Again, it's in somewhat development, but this one's really close to becoming live for us. And that's it for me. I'll turn the questions over to Chief Horton. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So as you can see, we've made quite the investment into the ESRI collection process. It's found to be very effective. It's using data analytics to identify risks, map them on a map, and allow our resources to deal with them directly. With that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Very good. Let's open it to public comments. Anyone wishing to make a comment or have a question for our Fire Marshal's Department, online or here in the room, please come forward. All right. Anyone online? Okay. Seeing and hearing none. First of all, the Fire Marshal's job is just a fascinating job. It's quite a interesting career, and it looks like you cover so many different elements. Has that job expanded through the years? Are they giving you more and more things within the Fire Marshal's Department to handle?
Well, I could complain about it quite a bit, but my boss is right back there, so I won't do that this evening. Yes, to answer your question, honestly, over the 15 years that I've been with County Fire, we've identified several more ways to utilize the staff at the Fire Marshal's office to expand their skill sets and to expand their areas of concentration for the enforcement actions that they do. We run engineering, we run enforcement, we run education, and we run the economy of all of that put together. We have a Office of the Fire Marshal contains about 114 employees at this time. I have 2 deputy fire marshals and 4 assistant fire marshals, 2 of which you've met this evening. They all do an amazing job. I stand up in front and oftentimes hear the accolades from all of our electeds and our citizens around the county. And I'm just so proud to be the fire marshal in this county. There's a lot to do. There's still, with the technology development that we're coming up, Tom and Natalie are making it so much easier to really identify and drill down into those risks. And this no contact fireworks citation, as an example, there's legal responsibility that goes with that, such as noticing and giving a property owner time to correct the behavior that's going on. But we're going to roll this out over a period of time and make sure that we touch every one of those bases. We're in very close contact with County Council. And like I said, the revenue that we collected over the last 4 years at the tune of almost $1 million, it could be exceeded in 1 year with the no contact citation process. So I'm very proud to be your fire marshal, and I want to let you know that the resources of our department are at your beck and call at any time, and I'm easy to find. Last name Horton, like the elephant. Go online, you'll find me right away.
Well,
thank you very much.
Very impressive. I had a couple questions that might be someone else. Just a curiosity, when the media goes on the air and talks about red flag warnings and the high probability of fires and so forth, does that promote people like arsonists and so forth to go out there? Is it counterproductive or is it productive?
I don't believe it's counterproductive because we hope for the good of humanity to take heed of those warnings and actually take those precautions. There are a couple knuckleheads out there that might take advantage of that situation, but we have guys like Brian and his team that quickly identify those arsonists by using those arson maps. We know where our hot spots are. We know how to investigate those fires. We have investigation units from across the country, including the ATF nationally. They come to us and ask us how we run our program. So we're very confident that when we do run across a knucklehead or two, they'll end up behind bars where they belong.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councilmember Dennison?
Well, Chief Horton, thank you. I just want to say thank you to you and the entire team in the fire department. One of the things in the desert, we've had quite a few catastrophic fires in the area that we've lost a lot of our environment and structures and even lives. So these tools that you're bringing forward for our community, I'm very appreciative. And I've had an opportunity to work with many of your team, all the members of the fire department. And I just can't say enough good things about the progress that has been made lately and the progress that was presented tonight. I know that these tools have been a long time coming. There's been a lot of effort in the background making this happen, and the partnerships, like you said, with council and certainly the board, allowing this to move forward. I think it's tremendous. What a great progressive program to help bring a safer community for all of us. So thank you for the work. I know it's not easy, and I know you're not done.
We appreciate
Councilmember
it very much.
Lombardo?
Thank you.
As this program is rolled out, at what level will the public be involved in being able to use this information as well?
Well, that's exactly why we're here tonight, is to ask you to help us get the word out to the public. We're doing all the social media and the press release outreach to the community. We can't do this alone. That fireworks reporter app and that illegal sales reporter app, we're asking for the public's help, and we need the public's help. So we've had a large press conference down in Fontana most recently, about 3 weeks ago. We're hoping that got the word out quite a bit. We have another press interview with KCAL Channel 2 and 9 on Thursday, I believe, to further express the community risk reduction efforts that we're doing. And we're also asking our electeds and our town members to help us push everybody toward the website where they can easily click onto our QR code and utilize the tools at their fingertips.
And we'll be able to access this information so that when we put out posters about fireworks shows on the 4th of July, that if they're to make our public aware that there is a way to report illegal use and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Tracy Martinez is our public information officer, and we would put her in touch with anybody in the town that you so request to provide that information or to embed that information on your websites, social media, on any printed materials. We have that QR reader, and we're here to advertise that and try to push it out as wide and far as possible. Yes, sir.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, when an arsonist is arrested, are they likely put in jail is it considered a violent crime, a dangerous crime? Because they're letting a lot of people out of jail now, and I wanted to know, are they letting arsonists out because they're not a violent crime?
Well, as you know, arson's a very difficult crime to prove, not only in the investigation phases, but in the court, prosecution phases. Our team is very forensically oriented to arson convictions. Like Brian mentioned earlier, they take it from cause and origin all the way through case closure. Yes, sometimes arsonists do get off, but with that arson map, that plots every location of every contact, every registered arsonist in the county, every juvenile fire setter that we've had in the county. And as we respond to these locations, our arson investigators are looking at that information, and they can look and say, hey, I've had 2 fires on this block, and looky here, we've got this arson registrant. We're going to go and talk to Billy and see what's going on over there.
Okay.
So it's a very difficult crime to prove. We have had a very successful conviction rate. Those statistics are available through Brian Headley. We can get those for you with a simple phone call. Unfortunately, I don't have them in front of me tonight to display them.
All right. Thank you for your efforts.
Councilmember Drodes?
I just want to say thank you for your presentation, and I'm so glad that you're using up-to-date technology, of course you are, but to track all of this. I had the pleasure of staying at Esri, or being there for a whole week, because I taught a basic GIS class. Nothing at this level, of course, but I was able to teach that for a few years, and I spent a week there. And once you know Esri, it's like you see their logo on everything. You know, it's like weather maps and everything else. It's like Esri's always there. So I'm glad you're using Esri, and I'm glad you're using GIS software. Thank you.
Tom was actually invited to this year's Esri conference to present on these platforms, but unfortunately, due to COVID, we were unable to attend that.
Well, thank you, Fire Marshal. Thank you for the staff that's here with you tonight. Of course, thank you, our Fire Chief, Dan Muncy, for attending as well. And keep safe and keep doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to present tonight.
Our pleasure.
And feel
Thank
free
you.
to build us a new fire station anytime.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our next presentation. I'll have staff do our introductions, and then we will recognize this outstanding employee.
Bill Carter, if you would join me up front, if you would, please. Bill has been with the town for 26 years, and he is going to start enjoying retirement in the very near future. Before we get into any details on Bill, I'd like to do a couple recognitions first. Bill's wife, the better half of the family, Helene, is here this evening. So I'd like to introduce Helene. Thank you for being here this evening, Helene. Greatly appreciate it. Now I'm going to get in trouble for this part tomorrow because I didn't warn anybody about this morning. Public Works crews and support crews, if you would come up here and join Bill and I this evening. Robert, Joe, Rick, Ron, Rusty, Joe, Jerry, Brooke, and Mary, if you would all join us up front. The reason I've asked the rest of the employees to come up here this evening is to talk a little bit about the team that has existed in Public Works over 20 years now, and Bill's role in that team. When Bill first started out with the town, he was in facilities, but he only stayed there about 3 months, and then he was transferred over to streets. Since Bill has been on the street crew, there's a number of things that he has done for the town in that time period. Number one of the requirements to be in the Public Works operation is the commercial driver's license. So you may see or may have seen Bill driving around town in our large semi-dump truck, whether that's after storm cleanups, maybe taking materials, assisting the parks in the things that they have to do. That was one of Bill's roles. What else do our small number of staff people do? Bill has been one of our heavy equipment operators. In that role, Bill has had to run our road grader, our front end loader, our backhoe, our skip loader, and our street crew, even when funding and time is available, does minor overlays on our residential roads. Bill runs, as part of the team, the street paving equipment, the roller, all of those types of things. A great deal of skill level brought to this organization. If we want to talk about some of the mundane things, I just kind of threw together an estimate this evening. If you look at over the 26-year period and you use, say, 750 potholes a year, that's 19,500 potholes Bill has had to fill in his tenure here.
I remember the first one.
I'm sure you do. I wouldn't even begin to estimate the number of cubic yards of dirt that Bill and the other members of the team have removed following storm events in this community. That's just an incredible amount. The bags of asphalt, I'm not sure how Bill's back still works. Mine doesn't work that good anymore. Just the bags of asphalt and the other tasks that he's been required to perform for the town are just immense and admirable. On the fun side, Bill does a couple things to forget about work. Number one, he's a guitar player. He was actually in a band with at least one or two other town employees, and Bill definitely enjoys his music. The other thing that Bill enjoyed for a number of years was he was actually a medieval sword fighter with metal swords and helmets and shields and spending weekends at these events where people battle each other and hit each other with metal swords. I'm not going to comment on that at all, but Bill enjoyed it, and it's one of the things that we'll remember about him. On the funny side, and we were talking as we led up to this retirement event, what funny stories we could tell. There's many, but they're not repeatable in a public setting. But there's one I'll tell you. For those of you that grew up in the 70s, you will remember from Saturday Night Live, Mr. Bill. Well, there is a Mr. Bill on the wall at the Public Works yard. We had a debate as to whether Bill would be able to take Mr. Bill with him, or if Mr. Bill was going to remain at the Public Works yard so we could still talk to Bill on a daily basis. I don't think that decision has been made yet. On behalf of the town, I want to say thank you to Bill for 26 years, for probably the last 22 to 23 years. And it's hard to think, and it kind of shows we're all aging. I've been having coffee with Bill Monday through Friday for between 22 and 23 years. Very happy for Bill and Helene that he's getting to retire and enjoy life. And on behalf of the town, I want to say thank you, Bill, very much.
Thank you, sir.
Shane asked me what I was going to say here tonight, and I told him I had 4 things to say. Thank you, I'm out. But on a little bit serious note, I really appreciate that the town has allowed me to work here for so many years and support my family and raise my children in this community. It's been a real pleasure working here. I appreciate this council and every council that has come before you for their support of town staff and myself personally. So thank you very much.
I offered the opportunity for any who wants to speak for the last couple weeks. Don't know if there's any volunteers. Anybody want to say any words today? Very good. Very good.
Here we go.
Don't look. So I don't want to repeat too much of what Shane kind of said, but Bill started with the town of Yucca Valley on March 1st, 1995 in the facilities department. He then transferred to the street departments in September of 1995. When he retires on Thursday, May 13th, 2021, Bill have worked for the town 26 years and 2 months. Bill and I have worked together in the street crew for approximately 24 and a half years. I'm 52. Oh. Sorry. Sorry. That's about half my life. We've been around each other on a daily basis. And I'd just like to share one story with everybody about Bill. Whew, man, thought it was going to be easier than this. Bill was the first person that trained me to get my commercial driver's license. Back in those early years, we had a patch truck and to repair those 18 million potholes Shane was talking about. And believe me, there's a lot of them. And we're still filling potholes. We would go out every day repairing the potholes within the town limits. We used to drive to and from our assignment for that day, and Bill would ask me questions from the DMV handbook, prepping me for the written tests. Jeez. He would also ask me questions while we were taking our breaks and at lunchtime. And when it came to my time to take the test, I passed. And that's thanks to the help of Bill Carter. I am super thankful for the time you spent preparing me to get my license. And I had a little more, but I can't get through it, so I'm going to end there.
I'd just like to thank Bill for all he's done for the community, all he's done as part of the Public Works team. Like Shane said, we've been showing up for a lot of years, having coffee and planning our days, and he's going to be very much missed. He's been a very integral part of the whole team, and thank you very much.
Well, Bill, anything I have to say is going to not mean as much as those colleagues and friends of yours standing up there with you. And we are obviously going to really miss you, and especially all those colleagues and friends that have said and worked with you for all those years. So congratulations. I'd like to present William Bill Carter in recognition of exceptional service to the town of Yucca Valley in the Streets Department, with sincere appreciation for your dedication, commitment, and professionalism. Thank you for the many years that you've contributed to the town of Yucca Valley. Wishing you all the best in your retirement. Presented to you from the Town Council, dated this 4th of May, 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why don't you stand right here in the middle? Everyone else turn around so they can get a picture here. Come on up, don't be shy if you want to get a picture. Get rid of that.
Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Yeah, Mayor, if I can add a little bit, I was there when Bill started this 26 years with the town, and we had him in the facilities department for a little while. He couldn't wait to get out. Don't blame him, but that was a long time ago when both of us had a little less shine on the top of our head. Yeah, I'd just like to say, you know, this town's street crew has always been so reliable and such a cohesive unit. And I think, well, Robert told me about the 24 and a half years of spending 8 hours a day with Bill Carter. And if you think about that, I mean, that's a third of your life, and you spend a third sleeping. And, you know, so that's a significant part of a quarter of a century that those guys spent together. So we've always admired how close you guys are, and how cohesive the Public Works team is. And it doesn't even seem right that it would be starting to lose some of the people to retirement, because you guys just are always supposed to be there. But and I'm not one bit surprised that Shane would offer up statistics like 19,000 potholes or million or whatever it was, having listened to Public Works reports over the years. But congratulations, Bill. It's just been great having you as a town employee.
All right, well, thank you again very, very much, and thank you for all those that have attended to honor him. Job well done. We'll move on to the approval of tonight's agenda. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call.
Council members Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Here.
and Mayor Abel.
Yes. All right, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are routine matters or formal documents covering previous town council instructions. Items are enacted by one motion and a second without separate discussion unless a member of the town council or town staff requests dialogue on a specific item at the beginning of the meeting. Requests for public comments on the consent agenda items should be filed with our town clerk. Could I have staff read the consent agenda items?
Happy to do that for you, Mayor. This evening on the consent agenda, item 3, waive further reading of all ordinances. Item 4, an update to your 2019 novel coronavirus pandemic local emergency policy. Item 5, designating towns labor negotiators. Item 6, Yucca Trail Safety Improvement Project Notice of Completion Final Report. By the way, the town clerk will be reaching out to you to establish a formal ribbon cutting for that significant project in town. We'll be doing that shortly. Item 7, declaring certain town property vehicles as surplus and authorized disposal of surplus property. Item 8, Tri-Valley Little League T-Mobile Hometown Takeover Contest, a letter of support on behalf of Tri-Valley Little League. Finally, item 9, Treasurer's Report for the quarter ending March 31, 2021.
Great. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on any item on the consent calendar? Please come forward, state your name.
Michelle Rudow.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Perfect. Good evening, Town Council, Mayor, and fellow neighbors. I am opposing the letter of support for the Tri-Valley Little League T-Mobile Hometown Takeover Contest. While I would love to see the Little League team gain access to these funds and prizes, and I'm more than willing to help them do any fundraisers to raise the money, this award would come at a great cost to Yucca Valley. From my understanding of this contest, if awarded, this would allow T-Mobile to begin building a 5G network in our community. The health effects and dangers of moving to a 5G is still hugely debated worldwide due to the potential toxicity to humans, especially considered exceptionally harmful to children. Because 5G technology requires antennas to be placed much closer together than existing 4G and 3G technologies, as well as in addition to the 4G technologies that exist today. Like, you're not losing the 4G antennas that are up, you're gaining another 5G antennas. The general public is being exposed to radiation levels at never before seen throughout human history. So while 5G is being pushed as the wave of the future, the council needs to seriously weigh the impacts of the health effects of the 5G on our community. Many cities have started to push back until they better understand the health impacts of 5G. So I would caution the council to first determine the levels of radiation they consider to be acceptable, and then verify that T-Mobile can commit to being within those levels. So my advice is please proceed with caution, and I thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Thank you. As soon as we get this cleared, please come up, state your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
So my name's Jennifer Cusack. I am the volunteer president of Tri-Valley Little League. And we are requesting the town support of our submission of a contest for $200,000 grant and award, which would also provide 5G connectivity at a park center. Right now, it's very difficult to conduct any league business, make a phone call. Connectivity is terrible there. And, you know, having 5G, even most in-home Wi-Fi networks, so folks don't really know that most of your Wi-Fi networks in your home are also 5G when you buy them now. So there's a lot of 5G out there already, but we do have huge dark spots, so I think it's a benefit to that park center to have better connectivity. There's a lot of people that gather there, and, you know, obviously we'd want to make sure it's safe, but at the same time, this is $200,000 at a park where we need the funds, and I just want to thank you, the town, also for your partnership with the fields. I just came from the park. I'm filthy. I'm sorry. I look this way. I would never come here this way, but I'm going right back over, probably to umpire a game. But we need the funds, and the kids need a nicer field. And thank you.
All right, Jennifer, is there a time frame for this application?
Yes, it's actually this week. I believe it's in 2 days. And so this letter is very timely. And it really is a grassroots cooperation, and anybody can submit. We don't need the letter to submit, but it is a nice gesture of the town's cooperation. Since we've transferred the property to the town, you know, it would be nice to have your buy-in to that and a blessing if we were to get that grant. And we may not even get the grant. And then once if we were awarded the grant, I think we could work through all those finer details, and if it didn't work for our community, we could decline it at that time. But I think submitting and at least trying and exploring all the details, but this is very short timeline. And we have a T-Mobile store in town. I know my dad lives in Laughlin, and the only one that serves where he lives is T-Mobile right now. They are expanding their network, and it's providing better connectivity at a time when we need it. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this or any other item on the consent calendar, consent agenda? Anyone online? No? All right. Seeing and hearing none, we'll bring it back to the council. Any members of the council wanting to pull an item or approve the consent agenda?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
I will second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
Mayor Abel.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on to our department reports. Item number 10.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll wait for the PowerPoint to pull up on the screen here. But this evening I will be presenting the fiscal year 2021-22 partnership funding allocations. I've been told the clicker works, so we will see. Cool. All right, so this funding allocation is proposed in the draft of the 2021 Special Revenue Fund budget from Measure Y. This allocation was also reviewed by the Revenue Measure Oversight Commission in April. This funding will be included in the final budget adoption scheduled for May 18th after tonight's review. The scoring criteria for all applications received have remained the same from prior years and are based on the guidelines developed by the Revenue Measure Oversight Commission. The scoring criteria is presented on the screen above and is applied by staff, which reviews all of the applications that are received during the application window. And then as you can see in this next slide here, they are all totaled and presented on this scorecard. The scorecard is also included in tonight's agenda if it's easier to read there. We received 8 applications. 5 nonprofit organizations have been recommended for funding. 2 additional applicants have been recommended for a renewal of their annual general fund contracts, and then 1 application did not meet the grant criteria. The total of recommended partnerships is $45,000 for the 5 recommended partners. Town staff has requested the attendance of the partners at tonight's meeting, so when I conclude this presentation, they're available to introduce themselves and make a brief presentation or answer any of your questions. And so we'll come back to this slide in just a moment here for you. The 2 organizations recommended for general fund contracts include the Yucca Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Desert Regional Tourism Agency. Both are renewals of their prior year contracts, which have been successfully completed. We have also requested their attendance, so we'll be having a presentation, I believe, as well. As I mentioned, 1 application was considered ineligible as the funding requested was for a capital project, which is ineligible under the partnership guidelines. The next cycle of funding is anticipated to be released in March 2022 for the fiscal year 22-23. Applications can be submitted and reviewed outside of the funding cycle and can contact staff if they want an application. $5,000 are remaining as unallocated partnership funding for the remainder of the year. That concludes my presentation. So before we complete, I will go back to that slide, and if it's okay, just request the first person and go down the list. I believe there's some in person and some online. All right, so the first would be Reach Out Morongo Basin, if they're available.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Council, City Staff. I'm Robin Schlosser with Reach Out Morongo Basin. I'm very happy to be here tonight and to be able to present to you for partnership funding from the town. This year marks 15 years of partnership with the town of Yucca Valley and Reach Out Morongo Basin in providing services for residents here. And we're very, very happy to be able to do that. The gamut of services we've been able to provide over the years has varied, but the one thing that we're always very proud of is the fact that we are on the ground and doing what we do. We were severely tested last year when COVID-19 hit, and we had to restructure our programs and hit the ground running to make sure that our seniors here in this community didn't get left behind or forgotten. In the 2020 year, in the week, it's actually starting with the week after the COVID shutdowns, through 2020, we delivered 4,840 meals to seniors here in the community of Yucca Valley. 19,036 trips. We are continuing now to provide transportation to doctors. We're doing yard work projects. As things are opening up now, we're looking to the future. What that's going to look like, we don't know. But with the town helping us, we know that we're going to be able to meet those needs. We're still going to be delivering meals. We're going to be taking them to the stores. We're going to be taking them to the doctors. We'll be assisting at the senior center. And we appreciate all the help that the town has given us for all these years. So thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next partnership on the list would be Morongo Basin Arch.
Thank you very much for supporting Morongo Basin Arch. Last year, we also received funding, and it was because of COVID, to try to help us stay afloat, and it was greatly appreciated. This year, though, our funding is actually to help out the Yucca Valley homeless community, because we know that Haven has been dissolved into the East Valley Steering Committee, so they're no longer going to be applying for funds. So we're sort of going to take over that role and work with Tina, who has Homeless 101, as well as Santa Fe Social Club. Both of those groups are providing toiletry and food items regularly here, right here in Yucca Valley. So when I drafted the grant request, I actually talked to them about what would be a reasonable amount of funds to cover what was needed, as well as sleeping bags. So they came up with a good total for me of $8,000, and then the balance, the $2,000, was for emergency sheltering. So I really appreciate this opportunity to work with you, and because right now it seems like the bulk of the homeless are right here in Yucca Valley or in the Joshua Tree area. Are there any questions?
Any questions from council?
Okay, so
Thank you.
these items are stored. We have a navigation center in Joshua Tree, and that's where we store all of our donations and our supplies. So they'll be there. And with this money, we're going to be purchasing toiletry items that are appropriate for the homeless to use, as well as any food items, sleeping bags, tarps, and any kind of protection that they may need. But the goal is basically to try to develop a relationship, a rapport, and then we can step into maybe doing emergency sheltering and really looking at how we can address their issue. Why are they on the street? So it's kind of like a stepping stone. Think of it as a stepping stone of getting a relationship built up and then starting to address it. Yeah. And then that's when we start into what's called emergency sheltering, getting them into a motel, looking at what their barriers are. Can we address it? Can we match them up with another nonprofit that maybe would specialize in their situation? Okay, any questions?
We have a question.
On a yearly basis, how many homeless are you reaching?
Well, in Yucca Valley, they have a steady group, I think, of about 12. Maybe Tina does over and over again, so they're reoccurring. I'm not sure about Santa Fe Social Club. I think because of COVID, they were closed for a long time, and then they've reopened. And we didn't have a really good point-in-time count, right, this year. What happened with the point-in-time count, I don't know if you're familiar, instead of doing it in person, which we've been doing, we used what's called HMIS. And HMIS is a county recording of homeless, but it was done in situations where they were being housed, or at least we knew about them. They were like in transitional housing. They might have been in some other program where they could be recorded. So it was very skewed. It wasn't an accurate amount. But we're hoping that this year, that COVID isn't so threatening anymore, that we'll go back to the traditional point-in-time count when we physically go out there and look at them and count them.
Well, thank you.
Then we'll have a good count.
Thank you for all that you do.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Astrid. Is the Center for Healthy Generations available, either in person or online?
Hi, my name is Carolyn Nye, and I'm from Center for Healthy Generations, and we are an organization that reaches out to the community, and we have a therapy pool, exercise classes, swimming for children, and a lot of other activities that we use. And one thing that we also have is a medical loan locker. We're the only organization in the valley here that has that, where people can call and receive free medical equipment, walkers, canes, wheelchairs occasionally, shower seats, that kind of thing. And we have a need for storage for all of the equipment that we have been collecting, so that we can have a more organized way of getting it out to the community. We have many that call almost daily asking for the free equipment. We have nurses, caseworkers, caregivers are often calling for equipment for their clients, some in-home and some homeless that need walkers and other things. And so we provide a great service to the community. And we also have a lot of people that donate their used equipment. So I got 3 or 4 things in today. So we are really excited about this program and are hoping to expand it.
Okay, my name is Dottie Hennessy. I'm the president of the Center for Healthy Generations. And I'm not much of a speaker, so bear with me, but we need computers. We've already had one crash. I've got another one on its way out. Our computers are so old, they don't have cameras, so I can't do a Zoom and let people know what I look like. We also need upgraded software and a networking person and someone to teach us how to use the new equipment. We're trying very hard to get the office to function more effectively, and it's really difficult right now. Oh, and I did want to thank you very much for last year, because of you guys, we got a new hydraulic lift chair in our pool, and now that we're finally open again, the people who were walking last year and who are not walking now couldn't have gotten in the water if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions? Well, if anyone in the community is watching tonight or hearing, you just heard that they would love to get a computer or two donated to the Healthy Generation. So I know there's people have laptops that maybe they've updated and they have sitting around. So hopefully someone could get those refurbished and donate them to you.
I forgot to mention one of them we put together through donations already.
Oh, wonderful.
Various different pieces and parts.
Well, thank you.
So much.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Is the Morongo Basin Tennis Association available?
Good evening. I'm Al Sonata. I'm the director, coordinator, organizer, instructor with this Measure Y program that we started in October, and we want to thank you for that. We kept the program going all winter through the holidays and through the weather. We took time off for holidays and the bad weather, but we still have the program going on as of we speak today. We started out with 16 kids, and now we have 26. And all the parents, they want to continue on with this program. So we're here to thank you for your support with Measure Y, and we want to continue on with it. And that's about it.
Thank you. Any other questions?
How many children are involved in it now? 26?
What I do is I teach on Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings. I have no more than 16 kids on 2 courts any given lesson or day. We only have at maximum of 4 kids on a court at a time, and a lot of times there's only like 3 or 2 kids. That way we practice safe distancing. Wearing the face mask is optional. We're out there moving around, and so I have no more than 16 kids per day. So I filter the kids and I talk to the mothers. I spend a lot of time on the phone and texting to get their agreement on who's going to be coming for the class each time.
Well, thank you for your efforts and keep it up. I know that it's a good program and I've been aware of it for quite a while. It was, my son played in it a long time.
This is,
Thank you.
even when Gideon Smith, I took his place, this is the first time ever that tennis has been continuous throughout the winter and the holidays. So
very good.
And the parents want to go on with it. So we'll be right there as long as we get the support and help.
Very good.
This is our treasurer, if you would like to ask him any questions. This is Ron Fortner.
It's always good to have the treasurer when we're trying to hand out money, right?
Always nice.
Yeah. It's been amazing. I don't think we thought the program would be as successful as what it was, especially in this era of COVID, because it's with distancing and all that. But the kids have been really enthusiastic, and once we got going, there was a core of kids who continued on, and the parents have actually been expanding the program, which is why we requested more funds for this coming year, because the parents have just found that since the kids had less things to do through this time of COVID, they needed something they could get out and do, and tennis for a lot of them has really been a benefit.
Good.
Appreciate your work. Thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been a supporter of that program for years, and with Gideon Smith in the old days. Tell me, do you still do the public speaking component of that program that he initiated?
No.
That's not part of it?
No, we haven't found a replacement for Gideon with his skills on that. We may need to do that.
Okay, and what is the funding used for? Can you kind of enlighten me on that one?
Well, we do pay our coaches because depending on how involved the coaches are, they're putting in 4 hours a week with the kids, plus additional time, as Al mentioned, coordinating, which kids come. And with the level of kids, because we had a core of 16, and we were up to 26 total kids in the program at this point now. So we actually need to add more coaches so that we can have more sessions because of the increased quantity of the children.
Okay, and do you, have you been able to have any competition with other cities? Like, I think that was in the plan years ago, but.
Yes, let me handle that. My goal is not only to have this program continue on, but to have competition within the kids within the program. Once this pandemic lifts and we're allowed to use the building there at Jacobs Park, we're going to have parties for the kids. I already purchased prizes, awards, trophies, medals. So we're going to have our own little inner competition. And then myself, I'm an active tennis player, and I'm one of the top players in the United States in my age group. And I have a lot of connections down below in Coachella Valley. That's where I play. And I will have that in my mind in the future to start something with our kids and the kids and the directors of tennis and the coordinators down there at many different clubs that I play, leagues and tournaments.
Okay, well, thank you for what you do. It's good to see you keeping that program alive.
Thank you.
Worthwhile program.
If Spark Growth is available online or in person?
I am here online.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the town council and the mayor for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm also really honored to be among such amazing community members doing such wonderful work here in Yucca Valley. My name is Melanie, and I am one of the co-founders and director of Spark Growth. A little bit about our organization. We began in 2018 when my mother, Maureen Stein, the executive director, and I began to discuss the alarming rate of school violence happening at the time. As past educators, we asked ourselves, why is this happening? So we did our research and determined it was due in large part to a lack of connection to children and students in our community. This was where Spark Growth was born. We thought there is a need and we can give back to our community and try to build connections to children, students, and families in our community. So we devised a plan to bring free literacy and art to children and families in our community. We love reading to children and doing art projects that follow along with the theme of the books. All of our projects are in alignment with California Common Core standards with a whole child approach and a social emotional focus. We also provide family take-home activities to bridge the gap between the student and the family to further the connection and growing. Last year we gave away over 2,000 books and delivered virtual enrichment to over 9,000 students and families in our community. We strive to support children's learning by sparking growth through our literacy enrichment program, providing a service that grows lifelong learners and future community members or leaders. So thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you. Any questions for Melanie? We appreciate you being online and joining us tonight.
Thank you so much.
I don't think the clicker will work yet. If the Yucca Valley Chamber is available online or in person?
Hello, I'm Wanda Statham, Yucca Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, Wanda, we can hear you.
Am I being heard?
Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you, Wanda.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. Well, again, thank you very much for the partnership again with the town of Yucca Valley. Yucca Valley Chamber of Commerce is very happy to be the marketing leg of the town of Yucca Valley to help promote shop, work, live, eat, and play locally right here in our own Morongo Basin. And also the extra support money for our next year's Grub State Days event. We're very honored to be again on the list of your support.
Well, thank you very much. I know we're very informed with what the chamber does. Is there any questions for Wanda this evening? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Wanda, for attending tonight.
Thank you very much, Mayor Abel. It's nice to see all of you tonight.
Thank you.
All right, and then Desert Regional Tourism Agency has a presentation for you, so I'm going to walk the clicker over there.
Council and staff, I'm Art Miller Jr. I'm president of DARTA, Desert Regional Tourism Association. Excuse me. And we run the Welcome Center. And we've had some great experience and planning on more great experience with the town of Yucca Valley. We appreciate your funding using the property. And so tonight, I have Kathy Amar, who is our Executive Director. She's going to give a little presentation on our Welcome Center. Kathy?
Thank you, Art. Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak tonight. I am Kathy Amar. I'm the Executive Director of Desert Regional Tourism Agency. We manage the California Welcome Center in Yucca Valley, and I'm here tonight to give you a brief presentation of post-COVID and beyond, let you know how this last year affected us and some of the projects that we're working on for next year. We have a total of 6 paid staff that work at the Welcome Center, all part-time, and 7 volunteers. We are open 7 days a week, so that's quite a bit of shifts to cover and a lot of everybody pulling together to help so that we can be open to help our visitors that are coming into the area. Our staff is our most valuable asset. Their protection is our #1 priority. During COVID, we obtained over $36,000 in grants, and that was able to help us to retain all of our staff when we were able to reopen, as well as plan for future growth and future opportunities that the Welcome Center has. The COVID impact for 2021. In 2019, we were seeing a record high of visitation at the center. We had 21,190 visitors that came into our center in 1 year. In 2020, due to COVID, we were closed for a total of 4 months. We started out the year relatively doing well, but as COVID progressed, our traffic went down and we were forced to close. So for 2020, our total visitation was 7,602 guests that we were able to help. We closed December 24th, again due to COVID, and we were not able to reopen until the middle of February. In the last 75 days that we've been open, February through April, we have helped 1,712 guests. We're seeing a lot of locals come back to the area. Of course, our community is very supportive of us, and eventually we'll be seeing international travel and other people flying in and coming. Our traffic is growing, but it is going to take a little while before we're back to where we were. Our gift shop revenue in 2017, when I first started, was $30,996 for the first year. In 2018, we grew to $50,000. 2019, it was $56,000, and then again in 2020, it dropped to $42,000. Again, in the last 75 days, we've had $16,570 in gift shop sales. A lot of that is our tremendous community support of Seas Candy and all the local artists and all the other things that bring the community into the center. Post-COVID, we just reopened May 1st, full-time, full schedule, 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 9 until 4, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Prior to that, due to COVID and the restrictions and majority of our staff being elderly, we had to have limited hours of operation. So we reopened middle of February to just 4 hours a day. So just a few days ago, we were able to get back to regular scheduling. In the last 75 days, as I mentioned earlier, our traffic was 1,712. That same period in 2020 was 3,800. So we're about halfway there, but we still feel that people are starting to come out more, and we expect the summer to be, we'll have a lot more visitors coming. We are happy to report that bus tours are returning. We still don't have our daily Hummer tours back. Some of those operations have not reopened yet, but we do have regular bus tours that are working with us that do call ahead and make appointments, and if it's safe, then we will have them come out. They used to bring 30 to 50 people, and now they limit to about 20 to 25 people, so that we can still have the proper social distancing and everybody can be safe. But we're very happy to have our bus tours returning. Our visitors are coming back, and we're seeing a change in the visitation that comes in now, where it used to be international travelers and people coming from all around the world to see us. Now, of course, it's more local travelers, people from Los Angeles and those areas that are coming in, and many of them are discovering our area for the first time. Our international visitors have not returned yet. If and when that happens in the near future, we'll see our visitation go up substantially. We are promoting local businesses. Our backlit panel partnerships continue to generate revenue for the center, as well as give the local businesses an opportunity to have their information available to our guests. We want to be able to be a personal concierge and a referral service, and all of the partners that advertise with us in our center through backlit panels or online advertising, we're able to pass out their literature and information and let the visitors know of unique places to go while they're in the area. Educate our visitors. As we know, as this area has continued to grow, we are working with the county and the Joshua Tree National Park on marketing programs to educate our visitors on how to enjoy the area responsibly. As our area continues to grow in popularity for vacation rentals, we want to be the local resource to educate our visitors on how to be good guests in the desert. Educational materials will be available to pass out at the center, online, and as well as in information packets that we're putting together for all the vacation rentals in the area. Let us entertain you while we are here. We want to make sure that all of our we want to make sure that all the locals in the area know that we are not here to bring in more tourism. We are here to educate the visitors that are already coming to the area. Our tagline is, let us entertain you while you are here. As you're coming into the area to explore the national park and to explore all the wonderful things that desert has to offer, we want to be their personal concierge to suggest local places to eat, shop, and play. Goals for 2021 and beyond. We're very happy that we were able to get a Blink charging station while we were closed last year for COVID, and it is available for all of our guests. The station is being used on a regular basis, and it has increased our visitation to the center. In 2021, our art contest is happening now. We will bring in 4 new artists in the month of October that will be in the center displayed just in time for art tours. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we will not be having an art festival this year, which is our outdoor event that has many vendors that are available to set up outside. We hope that in 2022, we'll be able to bring back that program. The Welcome Center continues to provide travel and local information to our guests and encourage them to come in for pamphlets, maps, information, and again, we're just there to be their personal concierge to make their experience here much better. You have any questions for me?
Thank you. Any members would like to go ahead, Jim?
Sure, Kathy, thank you for the presentation. You guys are doing a great job over there. I'm wondering, in addition to the town, or what percentage is the town's support of your total budget, and who else are the contributing partners?
The town is about a 1/3 partner for our overall budget. We also have partners with the County of San Bernardino. We are working with them to see if they were able to get a little bit more funding from them this year. And then after that, proportionately, our gift shop revenue, and then our backlit panel sponsorships. So that's where we get majority of our funding from.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with the vacation rental education approach. I think that is fantastic. And again, you know, informing those that are coming out here anyway about the desert, how to be a good visitor while you're here, educating them on the issues is fantastic and a great use of resources for us. So I appreciate that that you took the foresight to see the need, and you're filling that void with that type of approach. So kudos to everybody and whoever came up with the idea and those that have assembling it, and I'm sure it'll continue to expand and develop as time goes on.
Yeah, as a side note to that, we are in the process of having some available materials online where vacation rentals can go in and sign up for information. And then what we will do is we'll put together a free information packet that the vacation rentals can come and pick up at the center. So they'll have all the materials and all the information they need to make their little booklets to go into their hotels. So that will help build our database for the vacation rentals in the area, as well as make sure that they realize that we are here as a resource to educate the guests that come in. So
Great.
that program will be unfolding in the next few months.
Any thought of possibly putting in like a 5 or 10% discount to the gift shop as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. Very good. All right. Yes, council member.
I just want to say thank you very much, Art and Kathy, for the presentation. And I had made a couple of comments in years past about, I think we've hit a pretty good response to a recruitment for tourism. And so just listening closely to what you had to say, I appreciate that. And I think that change in direction to providing the tools and the planning events for those tourists that come to our area, now, as you said, more locally driven as opposed to internationally, I think that's a great move, and I appreciate it. So thank you for looking out for that and getting those pieces together about the things to see in our area, but also really how to become part of our area. And I think we can create a little bit better harmony with your proposal. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councilmember Lombardo?
With the improved center, the improvements made to the center and the parking lot area, what other types of venues are you looking at coming to use that space?
We would love to have some sort of ongoing events in our parking lot. We've been approached by a couple of different coffee vendors and food truck vendors that would like to come out and set up in the parking lot on a weekend to help draw in people coming in off the highway to come into the center. As we know, especially with COVID, a lot of the restaurants being closed and crowded and all that kind of thing, we think that that might be a great way to get people to stop and slow down as they're driving by and come into the center and see us, get a cup of coffee, get, something to eat on the way. So we're working at things like that. We're also working with the Chamber of Commerce on other ideas of other events that we could do in the parking lot to utilize that space.
Would farmer's market type of an idea work, or
we've talked about that.
Continual art or music type of venue?
Yeah, we've explored those opportunities. It's a little complicated, but we're open to suggestions and we're open to help in organizing some of those events for sure.
Well, thank you. Keep up the good work. It's always been very interesting to watch how you have evolved over the years, and you've provided a lot of great leadership to the community center. We thank you for your effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, partners, for your presentations. Just as a reminder, your recommendation is to approve the allocation of the town's fiscal year 21-22 Measure Y partnerships. The second portion is to approve the proposed agreement and scope of service for the town's Chamber of Commerce contract service agreement, and then to authorize Amendment 4 to the professional services agreement between the town and Desert Regional Tourism Agency. We'd be happy to answer any more questions after public comment.
Very good. We'll open it to the public for comments or questions. All right. Just wanted to remind you that this funding is available due to the generosity of the public that supported the Measure Y funding. So those are funds available because of that support of the community in supporting Measure Y. All right. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
Mayor, I'll move the item.
We have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second.
Lombardo seconded.
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Abel.
Yes, and it's always very, very encouraging to hear about how our nonprofits are just really using the money wisely, and they can do so much more than government can do in a lot of ways. So it's great that we have the opportunity to support you, and we thank you for all your volunteers and your hours of hard work. So thank you for being here tonight and presenting. We'll move on to department report number 11.
Hello again. The second department report is the Special Revenue Fund Budget Draft Review for fiscal year 21-22. So the objectives of this presentation is to present the proposed Special Revenue Fund budgets, to receive input and comment from the public and council, and then to have direction for staff to return the proposed Special Revenue Fund budget as part of the town's comprehensive fiscal year 21-22 budget adoption on May 18th. Here's that familiar graphic as a reminder that this process is ongoing with regular monitoring and adjustments as needed throughout the budget cycle. The special revenue funds presented here are separate from the general fund as they are derived from specific revenue sources. These sources are usually legally restricted to expenditures for specific purposes. Not only is the legal requirement necessary for most special revenue funds, but the separation of those revenue sources and their appropriate expenditures enhances the transparency and accountability for each of the revenue sources. The fiscal year 21-22 proposed budget includes 26 special revenue funds. Each of these funds are reported separately with their own set of financial accounts and balance sheets. In addition, all of the funds are included in the town's annual audit and presented in the comprehensive annual financial report. The town also engages its auditors for additional agreed-upon procedures for the special revenue funds for Measure Y and Measure Z. Here are some examples of the major special revenue funds included in fiscal year 21-22. There are not many significant changes to the types of funds from prior year, with many allocated to transportation funds, funds for public safety, and some of the state grant funds. Transportation funds are revenue sources restricted to use for streets and road improvements or maintenance. A total of $2 million is budgeted in expenditures for the transportation fund projects and programs. The largest transportation project currently budgeted in fiscal year 21-22 includes the Little League and Onaga Safety Improvement Project. In addition, an annual street slurry seal project is proposed to be funded through Measure Y, which will be reviewed later in this presentation. The 3 public safety funding sources are available for appropriate public safety expenditures, which are coordinated through the Sheriff's Department. Some of the other miscellaneous fund sources are collected through fees from economic development, such as the development impact fees. In addition, the assessment district funding sources will be finalized by the final budget adoption and will be included for the fiscal year 21-22 tax rolls. So for Measure Y and Measure Z, those sales tax measures are tracked separately and account for a major portion of the special revenue fund budget. Presented here is the fiscal year 21-22 budget for both, and this presentation was also reviewed and approved for recommendation by the Revenue Measure Oversight Commission. So beginning with Measure Y, the fiscal year 21-22 budget is proposed in accordance with the 3 original goals to improve public safety, infrastructure, and quality of life. The budget has been prepared with an estimate of $2.4 million in annual sales tax revenues. The majority of funding is proposed to go towards public safety, with $1 million allocated from the current estimated Schedule A contract for fiscal year 21-22. This will continue to fully fund the sheriff safety specialists and detective positions, along with 50% of the cumulative increase of the contract. The total annual allocation toward infrastructure projects funded through Measure Y is proposed at $1 million. Town staff provided the, never mind. There was a big map of all the streets for that, and I did not put it in this presentation. I am sorry. There is a map of the proposed slurry seal projects, which we will include in the final budget adoption. In addition to that project, there may be funding from federal, state, and county levels that the town may identify that can provide additional funding for future infrastructure projects. There are 2 allocations proposed for quality of life improvements in fiscal year 21-22. The annual community partnership program, which we just reviewed, for a total of $50,000. Excuse me. And then the remaining funding of $60,000 will be allocated towards the senior center recreation leader position to assist with the senior center programming, and then a continuation of the senior center contract class operating supplies and services. The revenue measure Z is also budgeted at $2.4 million in annual sales tax revenues. These funds will be passed through to the High Desert Water District for the sewer assessment relief, with a minor portion allocated to administrative costs. The Revenue Measure Oversight Commission approved the proposed budget on April 12th, 2021, to be forwarded to the Town Council for your review this evening. There are just a few more other major special revenue funds. The 3 remaining include the Town Housing Fund and Capital Project Reserve Fund. The Capital Project Reserve draft budget includes allocations for fleet vehicle replacements and ongoing sewer assessment fees. These projects are funded from the prior year's excess allocations from the general fund. Finally, the Park Bond Grant Prop 68 Fund is included for fiscal year 21-22 and begins allocations for a Phase 3 of grant expenditures, which includes the ongoing construction costs for the proposed aquatic and community center. The total projection for fiscal year 21-22 starts at $6 million, with the remaining grant funding available as the project continues. These special revenue fund budgets will be prepared for a final budget adoption on May 18th. This, of course, will not be the final change made in 21-22, as ongoing reviews and budget adjustments are made throughout the year and presented to council on a regular basis. So your recommendation for this evening is to receive and file the staff presentation of the proposed budget for special revenue funds for fiscal year 21-22, and to direct staff to incorporate any desired changes and return the proposed special revenue funds budget for adoption, with the implementation as part of the town's comprehensive fiscal year 21-22 budget adoption. I'll be happy to answer any questions after public comment.
Very good, thank you. Public comment, please. Anyone in the room or online would like to make a comment about the Special Revenue Funds budget review? Okay, it looked very thorough and so forth. My question is, on these projects, are we going to be posting signs again reminding folks that it's Measure Y funds that are providing us with the projects and the road improvements?
From my understanding from the deputy town manager, yes, the slurry seal streets will have a Measure Y sign on them as they did in prior years.
Okay, good. I think that's good because people forget, or they could be reminded that their money is being spent in a positive way. So I think that was very effective when we first started, and I'd like to continue that. Well, that's good. Any questions from council? Yes, go ahead. Councilmember Dennison?
I just want to make one comment. Thank you, Jordan, for the briefing on this. Just to say thank you to the Revenue Oversight Committee. It's a lot of work, and I think they do a good job distributing the funds in a balanced way for our community. So it's recognized, and I appreciate it. I like the report.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Integral part, and it's nice to have the public feedback on those recommendations and so forth. Member Lombardo.
Was there openings on the Revenue Oversight Commission? We might want to mention that so we can get some applicants.
Yes, we have two. That press release will be going out later this week. We'll leave that open for a good number of time to solicit as many
So
applications
they got
as
an
we can.
early acknowledgement now. Get out there if you're interested in being on the Oversight Committee.
Very good.
Applications are being accepted.
Good reminder. Anyone else?
I'll move that we approve.
So we have a motion to receive and file, and there's no further direction to the staff?
We've
Okay.
given direction.
And I'll second that.
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Abel.
Yes. Very good. I believe we'll move on to item number 12, Animal Care and Control Manager Doug Smith. Mr. Smith, thank you for being here tonight.
Mayor and Council, Doug will go through his presentation, some of the data you've seen before. One of the things I'd like him to touch on as part of that presentation is the fact that we've been able to start adoptions up again since we have opened back up from COVID in late April of this year. So with that, I'll turn it over to Doug, and then we can address questions afterwards.
Good evening. I'd like to begin by showing a brief overview of the Animal Care and Control Program and provide some statistical information on how the shelter is performing and working within the community. The Animal Care and Control Program is broken down to three separate sections: field services, administrative services, and shelter services. Beginning with field services, at the beginning of 2020, Animal Care and Control had one animal control officer assigned to just field operations and 3 animal control officers, shelter specialists assigned to both field and shelter operations. Shelter services had 1 senior animal shelter specialist and 3 animal control officers / shelter specialists and 2 kennel technicians, and administrative services having 1 administrative assistant 2. Please note that the Animal Control Officer 1 and Shelter Specialist are dual positions, with their primary assignment being to the animal shelter. Here is the organizational chart of the Animal Care and Control Program. You can see how the Animal Control Officer 1 and the Shelter Specialist positions are shared between the 2 sections. With the impact of the pandemic unclear in late February and early March of fiscal year 1920, and budget forecasting into this fiscal year, The field animal control officer position and one of the part-time kennel technicians were not funded as a budget cost savings. At the time of the budget forecasting, one of the kennel technicians was a vacant position. At the same time, there was a vacant shelter specialist animal control officer position, and the full-time field officer position was reassigned to the vacant shelter specialist animal control officer position, and field operations utilized the dual positions providing field services to the community. Field Services section provides field operations to the residents and businesses within the town limits. Officers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with business hours being Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Field Services is provided on an on-call basis, Saturdays, Sundays, holidays, and hours other than business hours. And for after-hour emergencies, calls are forwarded from the Sheriff's Dispatch to the on-call animal control officer. Field Services has 2 fully equipped animal control vehicles. One is a primary unit and one is the backup unit. In February of 2020, just prior to the pandemic, the council authorized replacement of the backup vehicle and a new vehicle was ordered. In February of this year, we took delivery of our new truck. When the pandemic caused the first closures in March of last year, field operations was modified to priority responses only. And priority responses being aggressive animals, bite investigations, cruelty investigations, deceased animal removal, injured or sick stray animals, government agency assist, such as fire and police, assisting our animals causing traffic hazard on major thoroughfares, and loose livestock. In May, when things started to reopen, field operations began to return to some normalcy. Field staff practiced social distancing, used PPEs, and attempted contact in an outdoor type setting with all interactions. Statistically, in 2020, there was a total of 669 responses during business hours and 155 after-hour responses. These numbers reflect an increase of 148 calls for service during business hours and a decrease of 16 in the after-hours calls. The chart on the right lists the types of reports and actions taken by the field staff. Shelter services is another section within the program. The shelter provides services for not only the town of Yucca Valley, but the surrounding unincorporated areas such as Morongo Valley, Joshua Tree, Landers, Pioneer Town, and other surrounding communities. The animal shelter has 59 dog kennels, 50 cat kennels, 12 small animal cages, and 3 small livestock pens. There is also 3 after-hour pens which are available for when the shelter is not open to the public. When the pandemic hit, these holding pens were utilized for the acceptance of stray animals to the animal shelters during the full closures, this greatly limiting the person-to-person contact between the public and the staff. In March, and then again in December, the animal shelter lobby was closed to public access. When the lobby was closed, the shelter was operating on an appointment-only basis. This provided owners the ability to claim lost pets for emergency cases of animal relinquishment, for the disposal of deceased pets. Stray animals were accepted to the shelter via the after-hours holding pens, and these modifications were to reduce the number of direct person-to-person contacts and for social distancing practices. When the shelter was allowed to reopen, it was opened with modifications. Operations returned to normal business hours, and the requirement of a mask or face covering was in place, as well as social distancing practices. The shelter was limited to 4 visitors in the facility at any one time, and the shelter conducted touchless adoptions. Shelter staff utilized PPEs, and the shelter was thoroughly cleaned daily and accessed areas after each visit. One of the things we always tout at the shelter are our adoption events. Unfortunately, in 2020, we were only able to conduct one event, which was My Furry Valentine, and that was in February prior to the pandemic. For this event, we had a total of 21 animals adopted into forever homes. The other adoptions events were canceled during the year because of the closures or for public safety or public health concerns. With the COVID closures, limited reopenings, and limiting the number of persons at the shelter at any one time, the community continued to show their support by the donations of gently used blankets and towels for the pets and to rest and relax upon. These items are used and needed year-round for the comfort and safety of the shelter pets. With 2020 being such an unusual year, here's how the shelter was performing from 2016 to 2019. As you can see by the information, the numbers fluctuate a bit year over year, but we're constantly striving for improved numbers. In 2020, a total of 705 dogs and 268 cats were brought into the animal shelter, with 57% of the dogs and 51% of the cats being outcomed as live release. Here's a breakdown of our live releases for 2020. Throughout the closures, owners were able to claim their pets by the appointment-only basis, and adoptable pets were transferred to our partnered rescue groups or transferred to other shelters for placement. Looking at the year-over-year comparison, in 2020, the shelter had a reduction of 201 dog intakes and 113 cat intakes. Administrative services is the third section of the program. They're responsible for the fiscal aspects of the program, record keeping, dispatching and receiving calls from field staff, fielding calls from the public, licensing, record keeping, sending renewals, organizing the annual rabies vaccination and licensing clinic, organizing adoption events, and our social media presence, which is on Facebook, Pet Finder, and Adopt a Pet. And the shelter's Facebook page is Home at Last Adoptions, Yucca Valley Animal Shelter. Each year, the town is required to hold a rabies vaccination clinic, and our event is normally held in the spring. In 2020, we did not hold an event out of concerns for public safety or public health. And like many other agencies that didn't hold the event also. Let's see. But as the COVID numbers continue to improve, we are hopeful to schedule this year's clinic late summer or early fall. And there are currently 2,988 dogs licensed within the town. One of the big programs we offer at the shelter is the spay-neuter voucher program. It provides $60 vouchers for dogs and $35 vouchers for cats for the assistance for the spay-neutering cost. There are 3 vouchers limited. The limit is 3 vouchers per 5 years per residence. And if the voucher is for a dog, the owner is required to license the dog after the voucher is redeemed. These vouchers are accepted at the 3 local providers and 1 out-of-area provider. The voucher program is funded by a generous donation to the Animal Care and Control Program, and no tax dollars are used for actual voucher reimbursement. In the early stages of the pandemic, local veterinarian providers either suspended operations or limited their operations to emergency or critical care type procedures. And for a very short period of time, the issuance of vouchers was suspended, and vouchers which had been issued prior to the closures were extended to allow those people time to get those animals spayed or neutered using the vouchers. In 2020, we issued a total of 156 vouchers. On behalf of myself and the Animal Care and Control staff, I would like to thank the council for their continued support. We would also like to thank the community for their support, their patience and understanding during these very unique times. That concludes my presentation with the recommendation that council receives and files a presentation and the report. And I'll be available for questions after public comment.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Smith or any comments to give to the council here in the room or online? Very thorough report. Thank you so very much. Any council member questions? We're going to just receive and file when we're done.
I just want to comment on what a great renovation has been done to the animal shelter from the years past. And so proud to see what's happening there and the real top quality care you're providing to those animals. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you and your staff for all your hard work. I know you work really hard, so thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are the 3 holding after-hour pens, do that seem to be sufficient? Do we need to expand those, or are they fine for right now?
They seem to be sufficient for what we are using them for. And if we went to expand them, it would be a whole type of renovation project. So what we have is working for us.
Okay, very good. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, we'll receive and file tonight's report. Thank you, Mr. Smith, again for being here tonight. All right, we'll move on to item 13.
This staff report is for the acceptance of the Davis bequest. So in July of 2020, town staff received notification that the Town of Yucca Valley Animal Shelter had been named beneficiary of the Jean Lori Davis Family Trust. After several weeks, the trust attorney contacted town staff and let us know that they had determined that they had funds available from the remaining amount of the trust. So we were able to receive the required documents to ensure that the Town of Yucca Valley Animal Shelter was indeed the correct beneficiary. And the trust awarded the animal shelter with a total of $59,733.92. Those funds have been designated per the trust to be spent towards the food and care for the animals. So part of the recommendation is to first adopt a resolution accepting the bequest as the beneficiary of the financial asset. Then to direct staff to provide the necessary accounting procedures to ensure that the funds are spent correctly, which is what we do with all bequests. We put them aside in a reserve fund as an allocation that we keep track of year to year as the funds are spent. We will also be amending the general fund budget to allocate the receipt of those funds. And then staff will also move forward with a letter of gratitude to the Jean Lori Davis Family Trust for their generosity to the Yucca Valley Animal Shelter and to ensure that they know that we plan on spending the funds as they desired. That concludes the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions after public comment.
Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Well, it's wonderful that people can leave a bequest to if they love animals and so forth, to the shelter and the care of those animals. So that's very, very thoughtful and wonderful. And that's just something for all of us to think about when we're making arrangements and so forth. If we have a portion of our funds that we want to donate and give to an organization, it's a good way to do it, and also remembering and recognizing that person for their generosity. Do we have a yes, go ahead, Councilmember Dennison.
I'd just like to make a comment. I was waiting for these items to come up after Doug's report, which I appreciate very much, but I think this is pretty good validation on the quality of service and the love and care of our local animals, should they need the services of the shelter. This is not the first time this has occurred. It's reoccurred, this same type of event, and it's very much appreciated that the Davis family and the trust has thought of us in our community and another way to help our pets, to serve them. So thank you. I just wanted to wait. And with that, I'd like to make the motion to accept the recommendation of item number 13.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any further discussion or comments? Roll call, please.
Council members Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Abel.
Yes. Thank you. We'll move on to our last department item, number 14.
As Jordan says, hello again. We've had some funds that have been donated to the shelter. They were donated and designated back in 2015, allocated for certain items at the shelter. We've gone through some of those items and we have some residual funds left over, and we've identified some other funds that we would like to, or other items we would like to purchase with some of those donated funds. Basically what we're doing is we're moving money within the account just for different designations, and that's what we're seeking the council's approval for this evening.
With a little bit more detail, the recommended action this evening is that the council approves the recommended expenditure plan and directs the expenditures to be incorporated into the fiscal year 21-22 budget. As Doug indicated, the town, and specifically Animal Care and Control Services, has received a number of donations over the years. Those donations total to date almost $400,000. Contained on packet page 146 of your staff report this evening. And just to touch on some items very briefly, from the Sila Wells and Charles May donations, included in the recommended expenditure plan, again, if approved by the council, will be incorporated into the budget. Large animal pens and weather protection, livestock trailer, some work on the shelter driveway, privacy slats for different fence areas on the site, some gravel on the easterly side of the shelter for access of the vehicles, shade replacements in the Get Acquainted area between the two shelter buildings are shade covers for potential adopters to spend time with the animals, and those shade provide very important shelter in the summer months. There's then the spay and neuter programs, sponsored adoptions, medical care, some cat cages, and then there are a couple funding sources which contain no recommendations at this time. Those include the Davis bequest and front counter donations. Again, the recommended action this evening is for the council to approve the recommended expenditure plan and direct that the expenditures be incorporated into the fiscal year 21-22 budget document. Completes the staff report. We'd be happy to answer questions following public comment.
Open it up to the public. All right, bring it back to the council. So these funds are from both the Charles May and the Silo Wells donations and some additional funding?
You have several donations. Silo Wells and Charles May combined at just slightly less than $300,000. Ruth Clark at $13,000. The Davis bequest, which you saw this evening, at $59,000 and change. And then donations left at the front counter totaling almost $25,000.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we're going to honor those people by using those funds wisely and for the benefit of the animals. Any other council questions? Okay, I'll move the item as recommended.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Lombardo,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Abel.
Yes. Thank you. Any future agenda items from any council members? We'll move on to public comments. The town council takes this time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you are called to speak, please state your name and the community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting will result in a forfeiture of your public comment privileges. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not on the printed agenda. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, we have one request to speak by Mr. Joe Borghese.
Very good.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you, citizens and the council. I just wanted to raise a concern that, I'm a 20-year resident of Sky Harbor area, District 5, and we're just concerned about the increase in short-term rentals in our area. And I have three concerns mainly with respect to this. And first of all, it seems to be growing steadily, the number of rentals that we see. And the three concerns I have are, first of all, it seems like it's, especially the non-owner occupied short-term rentals, seem to be a commercial use of a residential area. And that's changing the network, the fiber of our community. The second thing is, some of how the out-of-town guests behave. They don't have a vested interest in being good neighbors sometimes, and sometimes we see the results of that behavior. And the third thing is the impact of the short-term rentals on the long-term rental market. It seems that people that need to rent and want to be members of our community are having a difficult time finding long-term rentals that are available and affordable. I've known many families that have struggled and have to look elsewhere, or just been very lucky in finding something. It's just a very difficult situation these days, and just want to bring that concern up, and want to let the council know that at least my family is, this is something on our mind, and we're concerned about our community for the future. Thank you.
Very good. Is your phone number on that form over there? Okay, I'll be glad to contact you as well. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a comment on anything not on the agenda tonight? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll bring it to staff reports and comments.
Terrific. Sue, do you have anything that you want this evening, or?
Sure, just some quick May happenings. Schedule your visit to the High Desert Nature Museum Wednesdays through Saturdays, and you can do that on the High Desert Nature Museum website. Also available are the monthly Kids Discovery Kits for May, and the theme for May is fossils and dinosaurs, and who doesn't love that? Reserve those online for pickup on May 15th. We are accepting registration for the Grub Stakes Run Walk 10K, 5K, 2K. That is Sunday, May 30th, which kind of is interesting because we're having our 30th anniversary. It's our 30th Grub Stakes run, and it's on the 30th. So it's a little Twilight Zone-y, but it's okay. We have the early bird registration that's available through May 23rd for just $20. Regular registration thereafter. One of the things I wanted to mention is we are implementing all of the COVID safety protocols that are required for the run, one of which is no on-site registration. So we want to make sure everyone knows if you want to participate in the Grub Stakes run, please pre-register because that's required. Our lifeguard certification courses are underway. We'll be wrapping those up this coming weekend, and we are recruiting for summer aquatics positions for those that are interested. And our youth commission remains busy. As a matter of fact, you should be seeing a feature article by the High Desert Star on our youth commission. They are continuing with their homebound care packages. Their last one will be going out for Memorial Day. They're continuing with their pen pals and also participating in the Grub Stakes virtual parade. So they'll be wrapping up their activities, and we'll come to see you early June to wrap up their term. So that's what we have for May. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Sue. Lieutenant Walker, anything for us this evening?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would just like to go back to our partners from the fire department on their presentation. I know there was some discussion about getting it out to the public. You can go to the Sheriff's Department website, and right on the home page at the top is a banner. You can click on that. I looked at it the other day. It's very user-friendly. Click on it, it'll bring you right to the fire department's website. And you just click a button to report a fireworks incident. So I'm excited to partner with them and utilize that. I think one of the statistics showed a big reduction in 911 related fireworks calls, so that will help free us up. So exciting stuff. Excited to see how that technology will benefit both of us. But other than that, the weather's getting warmer and things seem to get busier, so it didn't help that we had a full moon last week. That's all, sir.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Shane, you have anything for us?
Yes, just very briefly, Mayor and Council. First, thank you, Doug, for being here this evening. Fortunate for you, maybe unfortunate for us, we only get to see you one time a year when you do these reports, but thank you very much. And thank you and your staff for everything that you guys do. I want to thank the Public Works team for being here this evening. Bill, thank you. Bill and Helene have a great retirement. Planning Commission meeting coming up next Tuesday, the 11th. We will have Habit Burger in front of the Planning Commission, as well as a proposed restaurant named Tiny Pony. Tiny Pony being located in the former gun shop building in the center of town here. So Planning Commission will have a few fun items to look at. And then at their meeting of May 25th, the Planning Commission will be seeing Aldi and holding the public meeting for Aldi to go into the Rite Aid Center. Also, the Planning Commission will be holding a housing element workshop at their regular meeting of May 25th. That will start at 6 o'clock before their other business that evening. We're mandated by state law in the housing element update process to hold those public workshops, so we encourage public participation in that event, both in face-to-face attendance as well as online. Just very briefly, in terms of short-term vacation rentals, for both the individual here this evening as well as others. If there are problems, contact code enforcement, file that service request or that complaint with code enforcement. We also have a special phone number that's available 24 hours to file those complaints, and if there is a disturbance of the peace or those types of situations where you feel it's appropriate to contact the Sheriff's Department, please take the time to make that call to the Sheriff's Department. When staff both issues as well as renews short-term vacation rentals, we request from the Sheriff's Department the call log for those addresses, and we review the call logs. And at the staff level, we take those things very seriously. We have one right now where they've been operating without a permit. There are multiple complaints filed with the Sheriff's Department for that operation. It appears from our initial review that a majority of those complaints are legitimate. Staff is not going to take action on that. We are going to take that to the Planning Commission, and there may be a recommendation for no permit to be issued for a one-year period. Again, I think, at least from our perspective, the disturbance out in the neighborhood and ignoring complaints that have been filed needs to be looked at very, very seriously. That concludes my staff comments this evening.
Thank you, Shane, for that. And just as an addition to that, while it's not an agendized item, we appreciate the comments from Mr. Borghese. As the council knows, you've given staff direction the last time that you had an update on short-term vacation rentals to begin that process of identifying what some of those concerns are that are out there in the community. And the first opportunity the community is going to have to do that formally will be through their community livability survey. That's scheduled to hit the community later this month. And we have some very specific questioning and policy tests in there for what it is that's of interest to the community. So we're going to encourage those folks that are able to take part of that. That'll be a scientifically valid survey. So that should give you a real good snapshot of what that sentiment is and what some of those concerns are in the community, which will ultimately likely lead to other policy conversations for both the Planning Commission and the Town Council. So we're looking forward to that. I wanted to give you a couple of updates on community vaccinations. As of about a week ago, they're open for everybody, I think all the way down to 16, if I remember right, on the Pfizer vaccination. And so not only at Copper Mountain College are they continuing to hold their vaccination clinic, High Desert Medical Center is having a clinic every Thursday as well. And again, those are available at no cost for those people that are interested in getting the vaccination. Just a reminder to the community that as the road work continues on Highway 62, we have a link on our homepage that will give them an update for the current week and the week to come on what areas are going to be impacted. That's a long-term project. I think Caltrans indicated over 2 years, and so we encourage folks to stay up to date on where that schedule is taking place at. The council had asked if some of the information that the fire marshal gave would be available to the public. We'll ensure that we have links, for example, on the fireworks mapping tool that they have. We'll make sure that that is available for our residents to be able to tap into as well, or at least a link to the county's website as appropriate. Interesting this evening, I think you heard from the Desert Regional Tourism Agency, and I think this might be the first meeting where we publicly said our objective has changed, not ours per se, but the agency has changed from trying to solicit tourism to managing it correctly. And that, I think, speaks volumes. That agency has been around for a long time with the sole mission of trying to ensure that Yucca Valley is on the map. I think Yucca Valley has made it on the map over the last, accelerated over the last year. So we're grateful to our nonprofit partners and our other 501c3s that can assist in that effort for sure. And then lastly, I would just like to give my thanks to Bill Carter as he's leaving us. 26 years is a long time. And I think what struck me this evening as the department and his fellow workers just spoke is the tight-knit community that this organization has as a family. All of our workers. Every time we lose one, it's painful. We have others that are leaving, and all of it's painful, but we're grateful for the time that we have, and we're really blessed with a workforce that is dedicated, and it makes everyone's job easier. And just as an example of that, I remember not that long ago, we have a online system called Ask Yucca, where residents can go in and just type whatever they need, whatever concern they have. And then as feedback comes back from that, sometimes I get those reports. And I got one for a resident that had put in a request for a pothole to be filled. Within 2 days, that resident's request was completed by Public Works. And so it's that entire Public Works team, and Bill is such an integral part of that. So we're going to miss you, Bill, for sure, and wish you and Helene the best in your retirement years. Thank you, Mayor. That's it for this evening.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll move on to our mayor and council member reports and comments. Councilmember Lombardo. Push the button.
I want to thank you for 26 years. I want to thank you for 26 years of hard service, and it shows very evident that what a great team you worked for and helped direct, and it's a testament to the family that the town becomes when you work here, and it was nice to see the emotion, and we're all going to miss you, and we thank you for those years of hard work and really productive work. It really made the community stronger and better, and we thank you for that. We also see examples of the different services that we've partnered with and contributed money to tonight, and how they work to make a better and stronger community. And everyone should feel very proud that we, in a community that takes care of one another and steps up to fill the needs of those around us that require certain extra effort. And I guess that's all I have to say for right now. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be part of this.
Thank you. Councilmember Drodes.
Well, I can't ditto Bill. There's no way. So I want to say, we really appreciate you, Bill. 26 years is a long time. I see you driving that tractor or the grader when I'm driving home down Buena Vista. And I really appreciate all your hard work. It's hard to leave a job after 26 years, but it's also a pleasure, I'm sure. So you're going to hopefully enjoy your retirement. Hopefully both of you will enjoy your retirement. And thank you for everything. I want to say I'm really proud of the Measure Y partnerships. I think that's really incredible the town can do that. And Kathy and Art, thank you for being so flexible and bending with the wind of change. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Councilmember Dennison.
Well, I'm going to echo the same thing. Bill, the stories tonight and the discussion was very warming, no doubt. And it's not easy to build that kind of camaraderie with a crew and be as productive as you guys are and get through. And you're out there in the worst of weather, post events, cleaning it up, getting our town back in service. And you guys had a strong mission, and I'm very proud of your leadership. It was obvious that the guys and the girls in that community development area and all the operations that go on there, they all worked with you, and you're highly respected. So it's hard to find people like that to get in there and build that succession of working together. So thank you for all the years you've put here. You'll be in our community. I know you love it, and that's why you put in your efforts, and it's recognized. I don't know how we feel. We have a hard time finding people to really do the work. That's not that easy at times when we have these events that are happening quickly, and we need to get our services out there. Thank you very much. Enjoy your retirement. You've earned every minute of it, and I think both of you can take a little break and you get to sleep in once in a while. Don't answer the phone at 3 in the morning. So thanks again very much. I appreciate it. On all of our nonprofits that have benefited from this, I all of them I love, and I like to see every year the participation in those programs and the benefits they bring. I will say one thing, I don't think there's any end to the changes that we see. Every time we have the town is evolving, and it's nice to see all of the groups work with that and understand that we have a different community than we did 10 years ago. To do things the way 10 years ago is not applicable in our community in all ways anymore. So thank you for your efforts. I'm glad you're participating. The fire department, the fire marshal's office, when he came in, they talked about a new fire dog, Dinsey, I believe the name was. I got flashed a couple pictures of the dog before the meeting and then at the meeting, and they offered a visit to Yucca Valley. Did you guys hear this? Okay, so I'm hoping we can take advantage of that and see what's going on and learn how proud they are, why they're so proud of that new dog. And it'd be neat to see some kind of event with the park. You know, maybe something with the kids and some kind of event, have them come out. So that was it. And I was, if anyone, I might have wrote it wrong. The fire chief had mentioned KCAL, which is Channel 9. I think it was Thursday at 9 p.m. They just said 9 o'clock. So that was an opportunity to see the project that they're doing that's supposed to be done on the television. So if that's not right, I apologize, but I think that's what I heard, and it sounds like it's technology that'll be used in our community to make it safer, especially with the hot weather coming up, the holidays coming up, the 4th of July. I'd really like to see all the tools they have help make our community safer. And thanks, one more thing, thank you for those that come out and make public comment. Your voices are heard, I understand, and there's a lot of work in the background trying to address the concerns of our community. And thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Schooler.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty much the same comments as everybody else. The county fire report presentation was pretty enlightening with regard to their technology and their data collection, statistics, and improvement to the services they provide. Bill Carter, again, congratulations on the retirement. I know that street work is not the easiest, and it's not even, most of the time, people don't appreciate it because things are going well. You know, they let you know when things aren't going well, but the emergency response, you know, is when people appreciate it, when you can respond, and you do, to all of the concerns they have. But lots of times, there's a lot of work going on, and you guys have kept it kind of smooth, and you know, thank you for all of that. I know it doesn't get recognized when things are going well, but enjoy the retirement. I'm sure you will, but thank you for your service. I appreciate the concerns on the expressed by the member of the public on Tri-Valley Little League, the 5G concerns. I just hope as we go forward, if we do have an opportunity to address that with that funding, that we can make smart decisions, and we can understand what we're getting into on that. Partnerships, glad that we have Measure Y, so we can have these partnerships with all of the community groups and nonprofits. And I'm glad that program's going well. And thank you, Doug, for the animal care and control report. It was pretty thorough, and quite good to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, I'd like to say welcome back, Madam Clerk. Leslie, it's nice to have you here, and you're doing well. I'm sure you're thrilled to do a long council meeting and just bring back all those great memories. Staff, thank you for doing and handling the technology. There were staff, we sometimes forget how bad our technology was and how hard it was to hear and see, and you guys did a great job navigating online as well as in person. So staff, you're doing a great job. Bill, congratulations, 26 years. I can't believe they let you drive a dump truck at 16 years of age, but you know, you did a great job, and we thank you for that, and so forth. It's amazing. Aldi's is finally coming forward and stuff. It shows you how long things take sometimes. Last time I was the mayor, I met with Aldi's and was inviting them to come and invest in our community and so forth. And that was back when people really didn't even know of Aldi's unless you lived back east. It was sort of an unknown company in a lot of ways. And I was trying to convince them that there was a lot of military families that already were previous customers of theirs and they would be recognized here in Yucca Valley. So hopefully they'll propose a great plan and they'll be a great addition to our community. But it does take a long time, you know. We were trying to encourage them to come, and that was a long time ago, and now they are. One thing I would like you to do is possibly join me in raising money for a nonprofit. I'm glad we mentioned about the Grub Stakes Run coming up on May 30th, that's Sunday. I'm planning on running, so I'm going to raise money for a nonprofit. I'm going to call it Running with the Mayor. And my wife and I have decided that everybody who signs up for the Grub Stakes, and we have to do it ahead of time. So anyone who signs up for Grub Stakes, whether you do the 10K, whether you do the 5K run, or you just do the 2K walk, my wife and I are going to be donating $10 to the High Desert Pregnancy Center for everybody that joins us for that run. And then anybody who can beat me in the 5K, we're going to add an additional $20 donation to the High Desert Pregnancy Center. And if you're not a runner, I invite you to contact me and get in touch with me, or go to my GoFundMe page for the Pregnancy Center and join us in helping another nonprofit. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd love to see a lot of people come and participate in running at the Grub Stakes. And again, if you're not a runner, come out and support those that are running. It's nice to see board members and staff at community events. And we just hope we get a big, big turnout so I have to spend a lot of money for the Pregnancy Center. With that, I believe our next council meeting will be Tuesday, May 18th at 6 o'clock. It'll be right here in the Yucca Valley Community Center room. And with that, we will call the meeting adjourned.